to take care of our children and grandchildren. We are having children later in life. So we are doing more than we ever have actively at this point in our lives. And as you mentioned earlier, when the ovaries start producing less estrogen and are kind of calming down or slowing down, the adrenals are what have to take over for that whole process that the ovaries used to do. So if we have impaired adrenal function to begin with, it can't really take that increased burden.
Welcome to another episode of Michigan Family Wellness.
Here at Michigan Family Wellness, we believe chiropractic care and nutritional-based therapies are a foundational part of a healthy family lifestyle. No matter where you're at in the mitten, having a family is such an exciting time of life. So instead of feeling overwhelmed by stress, fatigue, and responsibilities with the kids, we invite you to become part of this empowering community to create happy, healthy families. By providing engaging interviews and practical applications, Dr. Wollner cultivates family health by equipping our listeners with the tools they need to elevate wellness in their own family. Dr. Wollner passionately serves the Michigan community at his chiropractic and nutrition-based practice, where he specializes in pregnancy, pediatrics, and family wellness care. And now, here's your host, Dr. Kyle Wollner.
Good day, everyone, and welcome to another empowering episode of Michigan Family Wellness. I am your host, Dr. Kyle, and I just want to highlight a few things before we get to today's really exciting and empowering interview. So, it's official. We are now in a series of women's health with our live events over at Canton Summit on the Park. We had a great time at Chiropractic Care for Pregnancy and Pediatrics. But the real purpose for today's podcast is to highlight a live event that we have coming up. It's called the Female Hormone Symphony, and it's on August 6th. And I wanted to bring Susan's unique perspective, her superior perception, so that you guys can get some real value and benefits from today's episode. So, without further ado, let's introduce Susan. Susan Pontak is a registered nurse with experience in family practice, corporate wellness, along with integrative hospital settings. She is also a wellness and life coach. Susan has over 20 years experience in the healthcare industry, and for the past 13 years, she's served doctors in the field, like myself, as a functional medicine consultant for Metagenics. On top of all that, she's a Michigan native and a loving mother. So without any further delay, let's jump into the interview. Welcome to the podcast, Susan. It's so great to have you.
Hello, good morning. Thank you for having me. I am really happy to be here.
You know, I can remember meeting you for the first time and just being so impressed with your professionalism, with your knowledge about, your passion, like what you do, your unique perspective. This is not necessarily a first in the sense of having a liaison, someone that works between the formulators and the manufacturers for a lot of the nutritional medicine that I use in the office. But it is the first time that we've actually had Susan on the podcast here, and someone that actually can talk about specifically all the options and tools to equip our patients specifically from Metagenics. So, Susan, I just told our listeners a little bit about you as the professional, but what can we learn more about Susan as the person?
Well, thank you. I really appreciate that, Dr. Kyle. And I can say that after more than 20 years in this business, in the profession, I always say that this is still what wakes me up in the morning. I love this profession. I love what we get to do. I think it's such a privilege to be able to affect lives by just giving people the information they need to make those changes. So thanks again for having me. So personally, I am a mom of two grown children, and I have a daughter who's married and is expecting my second granddaughter any day now.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It's really exciting. It's just like a club that you get to belong to that brings greater joy than anything I've ever experienced. And then I have a son who's a professional chef, and he lives out in Colorado. I have lived in Michigan my entire life, and there's no place I'd rather be.
Fantastic. Yeah, great segue. My next question for you was, one thing we love to say here on the Michigan Family Wellness Podcast is that we're smitten with the mitten. So I always ask my guests what they love about Michigan.
I think first and foremost, I